Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're stepping into the dynamic world of Choy Lay Fut Kung Fu. It's a martial art with, well, quite a history over 100 years.
Right, and we know getting into any martial art can feel a bit daunting. You look at books, stuff online, and it's just this huge wave of information.
Yeah,
Overwhelming sometimes.
exactly. So our mission here on this deep dive is to kind of cut through that. We want to pull out the essential bits about Choy Lay Fut.
And we're using a great source for this. Choy Lay Fut Kung Fu Dynamic Art of Fighting. It's by Master Lee Kun-hung.
Yeah, based on his, 20 years of experience. And the cool thing is, he aims to keep the language direct, simple, plus diagrams, which always helps.
Definitely. It's meant to be a shortcut, basically, to understanding the core of the art.
Okay, let's dive in. Where does something like Choy Lay Fut even start? What's the origin story?
Well, the story really revolves around this young guy, Chen Heng. He already had a background in Shaolin Kung Fu, a pretty good foundation.
But he wanted more.
Exactly. He was driven, seeking out more knowledge, more expertise.
So who did he learn from? Who were these key teachers?
First up was Choy Fok. He learned from him initially.
Okay.
Then he spent a significant amount of time, 8 years, actually training under Lei Yaoshan.
8 years. Wow. What was Lei Yaoshan known for?
He was apparently renowned for really ferocious fighting and incredibly fast movement, a real shift in style, probably.
That's serious commitment. After 8 years with Lei Yaoshan, where did he go? Was that it?
Nope. His quest wasn't over. He then went up to Back Pay Mountain.
Back Pay Mountain. Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, and there he trained with someone called the Green Grass Monk. A bit mysterious.
Green Grass Monk. Okay. What was his specialty?
He was known for a sophisticated Buddhist palm style and really powerful palm striking techniques.
So, wow. Shaolin Foundation, then this ferocious, fast style, and then sophisticated palm striking. 3 very different streams.
Exactly. And the key thing, the book points out, is that Chan Heng didn't just, collect these moves.
He blended them.
Precisely. He integrated the strengths of each master. Think of it like Choy Fok's solid stances for stability.
Okay.
Then Lei Yashan's rapid, relentless attacks layered on top.
Right.
And then the Buddhist palm adding this nuanced, almost internal power that really sets it apart. It was a true synthesis.
That's fascinating, a real fusion. So this new blended style needed a name, I guess.
It did. And the name Choy Lay Fut is actually a direct nod to his teachers, a sign of respect.
How so?
Well, Choy comes from his first teacher, Choy Fok. Lei comes from the second, Lei Yaoshan.
Makes sense. What about the foot part?
That's tied to the Green Grass Monk.
Yeah.
Apparently, the monk had given up his original name, entering monastic life.
Ah, okay.
So Chan Heng used Fut, which means Buddha in Cantonese, to refer to him. It was a mark of respect, gratitude for the teaching.
So Choy Lay Fut, literally embodying the lineage of those 3 masters.
Exactly. The essence of those 3 distinct styles rolled into one.
What a great backstory. Built right on the shoulders of these diverse influences. Okay, so let's jump forward. Modern day Choy Lay Fut. How has it, evolved?
Well, like any living tradition, it hasn't stood still. Modern instructors have carefully refined it over the years
Refined how?
by incorporating sort of scientific principles, understanding biomechanics to make it even more effective. But, and this is important, they've done it while preserving the traditional core, the essence.
Finding that balance. And it seems like it's pretty popular.
Oh, definitely. The book mentions that in Hong Kong, something like over 40% of people learning martial arts are practicing Choy Lay Fut.
40%. Wow, that's a huge number. Why is it so popular? What gives it that staying power?
The source points to a few key things. First, it's practical, like for actual self-defense situations.
Okay, a real-world application.
Second, it holds up well in tournaments, competitions. The techniques work under pressure.
Got it. Combat effective.
But it's not just about fighting. It's also known for being good for health, agility, keeping you fit.
Right, the health benefits.
And finally, the curriculum is diverse enough. It offers something for different ages, different groups, different fitness levels. It's adaptable.
So practical, effective, healthy, and versatile. Makes sense why it's popular. Let's talk about how it's applied. What are the characteristics when you actually use it?
One of the core ideas is avoiding rigidity. It emphasizes shifting, unpredictable movement, constant motion.
Keep them guessing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's not about standing there in one fixed stance waiting.
And how does the body move? You mentioned versatility.
It uses all 4 limbs, arms and legs, for both attack and defense. It's very balanced in that way.
But you also said something earlier about hand techniques.
Yes, that's a particular strength. Choy Lay Fut is really well known for its highly developed, very sophisticated hand techniques.
Okay, so big focus on the hands. The book mentions something about the path of the attacks, not always straight.
Right. Some attacks might follow an arc, a curve, but the power generation, the intent, is direct movement, assisting that arc.
So it's efficient. Even small movements can be powerful.
Exactly. You don't always need huge wind-up motions. Small, precise movements can be very effective if the mechanics are right.
Interesting. So not just big sweeping attacks.
No, it also uses straight line attacks for directness and something the book calls grasp skill, like supplementary tools.
Grasp skill, like grabbing.
Yeah, but we'll get more into that later. It's part of the toolkit.
Okay. And the power, where does the force come from? You mentioned efficiency.
A lot of it comes from using the whole body cooperatively,
Yeah.
especially twisting the waist. That rotation is key.
Ah, that core rotation again, like throwing a ball or swinging a bat.
Exactly, that kind of idea. Power from the center channeled through the limbs, not just arm strength.
Makes sense. What about kicks? Where do they fit in?
Kicks are definitely important. They have a dual role, really.
Which are?
Well, they can be direct attacks, obviously, but they're also used strategically to maybe create an opening, set up a hand technique.
So they work together with the hands. And when you hit, what's the idea?
The book talks about dynamic force. Think less of a sustained push, more like cracking a whip.
Snap.
Yeah, the concentration of power right at the target, using the hard parts, knuckles, bones, as the weapon. Focused impact.
Okay, dynamic force. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the book starts with exercises, preparatory stuff. Why is that so important?
Oh, absolutely fundamental. Like in any serious physical discipline, really, they do a few things.
Like what?
Maintain conditioning, obviously. Keep you
Yeah.
physically ready, but also mental readiness, focus, and crucially, preventing injuries. You need that foundation.
Building a solid base. Can you give some examples from the book?
Sure. One is the swing arm exercise. It's designed to improve muscle elasticity, flexibility in the arms and shoulders.
Which you need for those fluid Choy Lay Fut movements.
Exactly. Gets everything moving properly.
What else?
There's the roundhouse exercise for back muscles. This one focuses on flexibility and power in the waist.
That core power source we keep mentioning.
Right. Building strength and flexibility there is vital.
Then there was that really unusual one. Finger push-ups. That sounds intense.
It is. The push-ups with fingers are pretty special. They're designed to build serious strength and stability in the wrists and fingers.
Why specifically?
It directly prepares you for the flat fist strike, or panther fist. That's a key technique.
Ah.
And it's progressive. You start on fingertips, then move to the first two knuckles of a flat fist, then the third and fourth. Build strength incrementally for that specific strike.
Very targeted training. What was the last prep exercise you noted?
The waist turning exercise. This one uses stepping, right and left, coordinated with the turning.
And what does that achieve?
Better flexibility through the torso, more rotational force from the waist, and it helps with smooth, rhythmic breathing too. All important for, guess what?
Let me guess.
The flat fist.
You got it. See?
Yeah.
Even the prep work is directly linked to the core techniques.
Very cool. Okay, let's move from prep to the foundation itself. Stances and footwork. Chapter 2, right? Yep. Stances are the base. Everything builds on them. Balance, power generation, it all starts there.
What kind of stances are we talking about?
Choy Lay Fut uses a variety front, side, wide, narrow, even single leg stances. The main thing is they need to be steady, but also flexible, not stiff or rigid.
Right, that adaptability theme again. Does the book even have that compass diagram, A to M?
Yeah, that's helpful for visualizing directions within the stances. Point M is the center of gravity, which is critical for understanding balance and power.
Let's pick one stance. The straddle stance. What's the deal with that one?
Okay, straddle stance. Feet wide, you crouch down, toes pointing forward.
What's the purpose?
Lowers your center of gravity. Big time. Gives you more stability, more power, especially when you turn to attack.
So you use it in fights?
Well, the book says it's mainly for training. Building leg strength, teaching you how to exert force from that low base. You wouldn't just stand there like that in a real situation.
Gotcha. More of a foundational training tool. Okay, stances provide the base. What about moving between them? Footwork.
Just as crucial. If your footwork is shaky, your techniques fall apart. You lose balance, power.
The book uses some interesting descriptions. Snake sliding, mouse running.
Yeah, great imagery, isn't it? It captures the feel.
What does it mean, practically?
It means fluidity, staying connected to the ground but moving smoothly. Unpredictability, being flexible, able to change direction quickly, darting like a mouse, or gliding like a snake.
Agile, elusive, hard to predict. What are the main types of footwork?
The book lists a few main categories: forward step, backward step, side sliding, and then these half-step sliding movements, both front and back.
Let's look at one of those. Half-step style front sliding movement. How does that work?
Okay, so your back leg steps forward quickly, knee bent. The front leg straightens out behind the stepping leg. You stay slightly crouched, front arm aimed forward.
And the function.
You use the force from that stepping back leg to add power and range to your front arm's attack. It's a quick way to close the distance offensively.
And helps switch stances, too.
Yeah, facilitates transitions, allows for continuous attacks, very dynamic.
Okay. What about the opposite? Half-step style backsliding movement. Sounds defensive.
It generally is. Your front leg steps back, hind leg straightens behind you, front knee bends, you stay crouched, guarding with the front arm.
For what?
Increase distance, make yourself harder to hit. But it can also be strategic. Create an opening for your counterattack.
So defensive, but also sets things up, disrupts their rhythm.
Exactly. Footwork isn't just about getting from A to B. It's strategy. It's offense, defense, transition, all rolled into one.
Okay, that makes footwork sound incredibly important. Let's move to the hands now. Chapter 3. You said this was a big focus in Choy Lay Fut.
Definitely. The book introduces several key hand strikes right away. There's the flat fist strike, the panther fist we mentioned, then back fist strike, incurve swing strike, upward strike, vertical smash strike, and thrust palming.
Quite a list. Those names are very descriptive. The book mentioned imitation in Kung Fu. How does that tie in?
Yeah, imitation is a big concept in Chinese martial arts history. Observing animals, understanding how they move, how they generate power, and then adapting that.
So like the panther fist.
Exactly. Inspired by a panther's strike. The incurve swing or vertical smash might draw from, say, an elephant's trunk movement. Quick, agile stuff might be inspired by snakes.
Fascinating. Connecting to nature.
Yeah.
But humans aren't panthers, right?
Right. And the book acknowledges that. Pure imitation has limits because our bodies are different. So you take the principle, the essence of the animal's movement, and you adapt it for human anatomy. It's not literal mimicry.
Makes sense. Can we look at a couple of specific hand techniques, like the whirling strike? Sounds dynamic.
It is. The idea is often to use it first to deflect or weaken an incoming attack, kind of ride their force.
Okay.
And then immediately follow up with your own strike, targeting vulnerable spots like the solar plexus or ribs. Defense flows right into offense.
And the stance matters here too, right?
Absolutely. Stances and techniques work together. The book gives an example of executing a powerful whirling strike by shifting smoothly from a back-leaning stance into a straddle stance. That transition generates rotational power.
Cool. What about the cross swing?
Described as a very forceful attack. Similar in principle, the book says, to the incurve swing.
Anything specific to keep in mind with that one?
Yes. Because it generates so much force and involves significant body movement, the book stresses you must follow it up with a proper stance change immediately.
To stay balanced.
Exactly. Maintain stability, be ready for what comes next. Don't just throw it and be left off balance.
Good practical advice. Okay, moving on to Chapter 4, palm strikes. There was a connection made to an Indian monk.
Yeah, a brief mention of Bodhidharma, or Tatmo. He's traditionally linked to bringing Kan Buddhism to China and sort of early physical training at Shaolin Temple.
Which influenced Kung Fu.
Right. And since Choy Lay Fut has roots tracing back to Shaolin through the green grass monk, that Buddhist influence is acknowledged.
And the specific technique in this chapter is thrust palming.
Correct. It's presented as one example of Buddhist palming techniques within the wider Choy Lay Fut system. Just a representative sample, really.
And where do you aim this thrust palm?
The book lists specific targets: eyes, nose, the area between the lip and nose, jaw, ears, sides of the neck, throat.
Ouch! Sensitive spots.
Yeah, and also the joints of the opponent's arms, the points where they generate force. Precise targeting is key.
Okay. Chapter 5 shifts to kicking techniques. You mentioned they have a dual function.
That's right. The book suggests the kicking arsenal might seem simpler than the hand techniques, but they're definitely not less important.
So what are the two functions?
Direct attack, obviously, just kicking to strike, but also strategically using a kick to create an opening, maybe distract the opponent instead of a hand strike.
Tactical kicking. Is there advice on how to use them effectively?
Yes. A key piece of advice is to try and divert the opponent's attention before you kick. A hand feint, a shift, something to draw their eyes or focus away.
Make them look high when you go low.
Kind of thing, yeah. And also, critically, Always follow up immediately after the kick, whether it lands or not. Keep the pressure on, exploit any disruption.
Don't just kick and pause. Got it. Chapter 6 is about parrying. Blocking, essentially.
Well, yes and no. The
Yeah.
goal is protection, obviously, deflecting attacks, but it's also about creating openings for your own counterattack.
So not just stopping the force.
No, the principle described is more about yielding to meet the force, redirecting it, rather than just a hard head-on block. More efficient.
And it involves the whole body again.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Waist, hips, hands all working together. That coordination allows for smoother deflection and sets up a better counter.
Makes sense. There was also a point about grabbing techniques in this section.
Right. The advice is pragmatic. If you try to grab someone and they resist strongly, don't get stuck in a wrestling match. Let go immediately and switch to direct strikes.
So grabbing is secondary.
In this context, yeah. It's mainly seen as a way to prepare for a direct strike, not an end in itself. If it doesn't work instantly, move on.
Practical. Okay, last main section, chapter 7, special exercises. What are these for?
Think of them as supplementary training. They go beyond the basics to hone specific skills, coordination, more complex movement.
Bridging the gap between drills and application.
Exactly. Developing those integrated sequences.
Is there an example?
Yeah, the book details a sequence combining defense and attack. It's designed to build that seamless flow from blocking right into countering. Make it reflexive.
And it even covers specific scenarios, like defending against a spinning back pick.
It does. And the key advice there is to use a counterattack while defending to disrupt the kicker before they can recover or follow up. It's proactive defense.
Very strategic. And there are more complex combinations covered too.
Yes, the chapter indicates these exercises build up into more intricate applications. It's about integrating everything.
Okay, so that covers the main techniques and training concepts from the book. It really paints a picture of Choy Lay Fut as, well, dynamic, like the title says.
It really does. A blend of tradition and, modern understanding. Constantly refined, but keeping its core.
And Master Lee Kun Hung's dedication really comes through, preserving it, promoting it.
Absolutely. His commitment, mentioned in the book, to spreading beyond Hong Kong internationally is clear. That's a big reason it's known worldwide now.
Yeah, the book lists all those countries where they hold tournaments and exhibitions. Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Taiwan, France, the US, Canada, South Africa. That's global reach.
For sure. And this book itself is part of that effort, sharing the knowledge.
And he suggests other resources, too, for those who want to go deeper.
Right. Other books, even instructional posters he created for more detail on specific aspects.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive. Guided by Master Lee's book, we've covered the origins, the core principles, the training, the techniques.
Hopefully giving everyone listening a much clearer picture of what Choy Lay Fut is all about, without getting totally swamped in detail.
Yeah, hopefully cutting through some of that complexity we mentioned at the start. So, for our final thought today, let's reflect on that core idea of Choy Lay Fut's development. Integrating diverse influences, taking those three masters, blending their strengths.
That principle of adaptability, of synthesis.
Exactly. So the question for you, the listener, is how could you apply that same principle in your own life, in areas you're learning about, skills you're developing? What three masters, what foundational ideas or influences could you deliberately combine to create something new, or just deepen your understanding in a field you care about?
It's definitely something interesting to think about, that process of integration.
It is something to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.